When David found the truth, it was almost too ordinary to notice. A message notification popped up on his wife's phone while she was in the shower. He hadn't meant to look, but the preview showed a name he didn't recognize and a line that said, "Last night was amazing, I can't stop thinking about you." His heart dropped instantly. 10 years of marriage flashed before his eyes. Birthdays, long nights, the house they built together, all crumbling in an instant. At first, he couldn't believe it. He told himself there must be some misunderstanding, a wrong message, a joke maybe. But when she came out of the bathroom, humming softly, towel around her hair, he couldn't hold it in. "Who's Eric?" he asked, voice shaking. Her smile vanished. The color drained from her face. And in that silence, he already knew the answer. They sat in the kitchen for hours. She tried explaining how she had felt lonely, how their relationship had turned cold, how one thing led to another. But none of it sounded like reasons. It sounded like excuses. David listened, tears burning in his eyes, his world collapsing quietly as she spoke. He didn't shout. He didn't throw things. He just sat there numb. When she finished, he said, "I need time." Then he walked out and spent the night at his brother's place, staring at the ceiling until morning came. 10 years together, and now he couldn't even imagine walking back into his own home. Days passed. Friends told him to leave her. His brother said she didn't deserve another chance. But David's heart wasn't made for revenge. It was made for love. He thought about their first date, their wedding day, the laughter they shared when things were simple. Maybe, he thought, love could survive betrayal. He met her at a small cafe after a week. She looked exhausted, eyes swollen from crying. "I'm sorry," she whispered the moment she saw him. "I'll do anything to fix this." For a long moment, he said nothing. Then finally he spoke. "If we're going to try again, there can be no more lies." They started marriage counseling. The first few sessions were rough, anger, tears, awkward silences. But slowly, something began to change. She opened up about her mistakes, and he admitted his emotional distance over the years. They began to talk again, not as strangers, but as two broken people trying to rebuild. Months passed, and things seemed better. They went on walks again, cooked dinner together, and even laughed like old times. David wanted to believe that maybe they could make it through. But deep inside, a shadow still lived in his heart, a quiet doubt that never went away. Then one evening, he saw it again. A message on her phone. This time, she didn't hide it. It said, "I miss you, but I can't talk anymore." She had ended it with the man, but the past had left its mark. David realized then that forgiveness wasn't the same as forgetting. He didn't yell this time either. He just sighed and said, "Thank you for being honest." She cried again, begging him not to leave. But something in him had changed. He understood now that love without trust was only a memory pretending to live. A few weeks later, David moved out. He didn't hate her. He didn't wish her pain. He simply needed peace. They kept in touch for a while, mostly about the house, bills, and unfinished things. But slowly, the distance between them grew into silence. A year later, he wrote her a letter. In it, he thanked her. For the good times, for the lessons, even for the heartbreak. He told her that despite everything, he hoped she found happiness. It wasn't bitterness that guided his words, but closure. Now, 2 years later, David has learned to live alone. He spends weekends hiking, has made new friends, and even started painting again. Sometimes he still thinks of her, not with anger, but with a quiet acceptance. The wound that once bled has turned into a scar, one that reminds him of who he became after losing everything. His update to the story wasn't dramatic. There was no grand reunion or revenge. Just a man who tried to fix what was broken and learned that sometimes, walking away is the real act of love. In the end, David realized that healing doesn't always mean staying. It means learning to let go without hate, and moving forward with peace.